some $200 billion in trade between Africa and China. As you know, Andrew, it largely comes down to this: extractive industries in Africa, oil, minerals, being taken out of the ground, out of the sea, and sent to China. In return, China is building infrastructure projects across the continent, also providing, obviously, foreign direct investment. The nature of the relationship is different with Africa and China than it has been with Africa and other regions in the past. It's more about business, trade, less about foreign aid. And the sense is in Africa, at least from Africa's leaders, that China's foreign investment comes with less strings attached. So it's been very popular up till recently, China pumping billions of dollars into the African markets. Andrew?
As you say, a key tone there was until recently, David, because there does seem to be, perhaps you explain how significant it is, but is it a sea change? There's a change of sort of thought towards what China is doing in Africa by some senior African leaders.
Well, Ian Khama of Botswana and the central bank governor in Nigeria recently made comments in the press questioning whether this relationship is an equal one and whether it's to the benefit of Africa. Now, it's interesting. I don't think it's necessarily a sea change overall, but the cracks are appearing in this China-Africa relationship. There's a sense from Africans that it's not an equal relationship, that China is extracting oil and then in return building infrastructure projects with its own companies, with its own workers, not necessarily transferring the skills to African workers, as well as sending manufactured goods back to Africa while taking raw materials here to China. So there is that nervousness now about the relationship. This is very important to China, this $200 billion relationship, which will increase. China is the biggest trading partner of the African continent, and it will want to push the PR offensive against these sentiments, and we might see Mr. Xi talking about this in his upcoming speech.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, I mean, there have been sort of specific references to colonialism involving China now.
Well, there is, and that's always been the trump card of China's relationship with Africa, the sense that it can say, well, we are not like the colonial, quote-unquote, masters of the past. We are not Europe. We are not coming in with strings attached to our aid like maybe America does. We are brothers. I've heard that often between Chinese and African leaders saying, you know, we are the brother. There's a brotherhood between China and Africa. The sense that there's been a long history of the relationship between China and Africa. That really isn't playing that well anymore because leaders in Africa, some of them at least, see that, well, this is a business relationship. This is not some fuzzy friendship thing. This is money coming in, money and oil going out, and that the balance of the relationship needs to be struck in the right way to benefit Africans as well as the Chinese. That central bank opinion article in the Financial Times and other papers some weeks ago by Nigeria's central bank governor, very interesting because he's talking specifically that this is the new colonialism, that there shouldn't be this, quote, romance about the relationship between China and Africa. This is a business, a hard-nosed business relationship, and that Africans should get out as much as what China does. So from the Chinese leadership perspective, they want to counteract that argument to say we are coming in with money, with deals. 6 out of the 10 or 7 out of the 10 fastest growing economies, depending which number you look at, Andrew, are in Africa. So everyone wants a piece of this pie, and China wants to be the forerunner in that.